I was talking to somebody yesterday who's total agreement with all this stuff, but she started talking about hypnotherapy and repetition.
Okay.
Now, we didn't have much time to chat, but I wanted to jump on that and talk with her. And I thought, hey, maybe we could bring that up here to kind of discuss.
When she was talking about hypnotherapy, so it's hypnotherapy and repetition.
Repetition, kind of affirmations, that sort of thing.
Okay. So,
And
let me see if I can explain it this way. Anything that you put on automatic makes you know the effect of it. And the reason, if we look at the reason people, if you remember, we had this circle. We had action, emotion, and thought, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about this being a circle, and it seems to go and just starts running. And over here we had intention. Okay? So the whole idea behind repetition, hypnotherapy, self hypnosis, affirmations is an effort, and you'll find it, maybe I refer to it in the book, is an effort to overwhelm the red in the room. Okay? And in the book we talked about if you have a red light.
We'll start with the one dilution, the theory of
Okay,
dilution.
well, so let's start with the principle of dilution.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
That's dilution.
I know, it
Not
took me a while.
Dilute. To the principle of dilution.
Dilute, yeah.
Okay, so if we take a glass of water, okay, and we put, and then this is the water, and we put in it pink food coloring. Okay, we put a couple drops of pink food coloring into the water. So we'll get water that's somewhat pink.
Yeah.
Okay? So it exists. The pinkness is there. Okay? And so what affirmations and self-hypnosis and all that is an effort now to pour in enough. Let's see if I get another color here that works. We'll call this clear.
Clear water?
Clear water. And our purpose is to pump in enough clear water, and we just keep pouring. So we get a pitcher, we get a hose. Let's take a hose. There's a whole garden hose to a tap. And we'll just dump water in there, and dump water in there, and dump water there. And to the point that this is overflowing, okay?
Yeah.
So what will happen is the pink will become less and less and less and less visible. But the problem is...
Which is logical for dilution. You just overwhelm it with something else.
That's right. But we think we're winning. But what we're actually doing is we're taking that pinkness, okay? And we're actually driving it very deep into the subconscious, okay? And as long as we keep pumping this in, pumping this in, pumping this in, pumping this in, okay, then it appears our life might get better.
Yeah.
But the instant we stop, like I'm talking instantaneously, we stop. This pinkness is still there, and it rises up and it controls our life again. So we become the effect of constantly having to pour this water.
Yeah.
So that's what we call, in our book, we call them not band-aids. What is the name we use for them? Patches. It's a patch. It's an effort to overwhelm. I like the analogy, though, that we used in the book about the red light, because it's easier to understand. If you have a room and you put a red light in it, the red light's there.
Yeah, if we put a light in this room, a red light.
That's right. And so if we have no other light in the room is red. Okay? And then we come into this room and we turn on a whole bunch of white light. Okay? And as long as we got the white light going, and remember to put the white light, we have to have electricity constant going to the white light. Okay?
You're getting blinded by white light to get rid of the red light.
And when we have the white light, we don't see the red light. But the instant we turn off that white light, boom, the red light is controlling our life again.
And in that analogy, we have the control of the white light and the electricity going to it. we don't have any control of that red light or the electricity going.
Correct, because the red light's there. Where was the red light? The red light, remember we talked about where our belief structure came from, where and where our fixed thoughts are, and we talked about that pyramid. That was a belief that we formed about ourselves that became solidified, and it became something that was part of us. And as long as we leave it there as part of us and don't find the root of it, and actually look at as long as we don't find the root of the conclusion or the root of the source and actually take out that belief and actually validate it based on the information we had at the time that we formed the belief, then that belief stays.
Isn't psychotherapy trying to do that?
Oh, okay, psychotherapy. What does psychotherapy try to do? That's a good question. I've never been to a psychotherapist. I only can talk about what I hear they talk about. Okay? From what I gather,
I mean, I'm married to one, so I do have some knowledge of it.
Yes.
And they all have different techniques they use.
Correct.
But from what I gather, they don't get to the subconscious. They're not getting to that red light.
No, they're not.
They're getting to.
They're handling the effect.
They're handling the effect, kind of like medicine often does.
You remember we talked in the book about if you
No
have a
offense to my
computer.
wife.
We have a computer program.
Yep.
Okay. And it's a compiled computer program. And on a compiled computer program, you don't actually see the source code. It was written in a language, and then it ran through a
compiler,
and it turned it into machine language.
Right.
Okay. So when you try to look at it, it's just hieroglyphics. Now, if somebody, when they were writing the code, had a mistake in line 10,000, and in line 10,000 they put a mathematical mistake in that says 2 plus 2 equals 14, because the guy hit the 1, when he was typing, he hit 1 instead of just hitting the 4. He accidentally hit 1 and 4 at the same time.
Yeah.
So the line of code says 2 plus 2 equals 14. And then that's compiled. So that line of code is in there. Okay? So every time that computer program runs 2 plus 2, it's going to spit out an answer of 14. Now we know 14 is not the right answer. We know that the answer is 4. But we can't get in here to change the line of code.
You can't figure out what line it's under and what it is actually. You don't know what.
But we do know, we can measure the effect, and the effect is every time we run in 2 plus 2, it comes out 14. So we're going to write a patch over top of it, so when an answer 14 plus 2 plus 2 equals 14 comes out, we're going to apply another piece of code, and we're going to say a null answer, replace 14, replace
with 4.
4. Okay, so that's a patch. Okay, so every time we now run 2 plus 2 is 14, we run a patch. Okay, that's what we call a patch. This is still here.
Yep.
It's still running. Now, the challenge we have when we're looking at the individual is he's got tens of thousands of mistakes in his code because he was told things about himself when he was born, when he was 3 months old. Even some people believe the things that you hear are prenatal, get embedded. So he has all of these embedded beliefs that he never consciously chose. They were put there. And they control his life. Right? So he's got hundreds or thousands of these.
Or he could have, based on his knowledge of the time, entered it in a wrong way.
Yeah,
Because
we even have a name for it in our society. We say that person comes with baggage. Stay away from him, he's got baggage. Okay? And what do we mean by baggage? He's got 1,000 triggers, and you can't get around his triggers. He's always going to be upset about something. We know that he's got thousands and thousands of these that they trigger all the time. And they trigger because he hasn't gone through the time to write the patches and the patches and the patches.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't taken anger management and meditation and all the other patches that pile up on top of this. Okay?
Hypnotherapy and
Okay, so this is affirmations, not psychotherapy, affirmations, self-hypnosis,
self-help, basically.
the traditional self-help. This is what it looks like. And so this person becomes heavier and heavier in terms of their ability to think, their ability to react, their ability to communicate becomes slower and
Right,
slower and
because
slower.
you got to go through all that
Good.
morass of.
Good. Good. So that is traditional self-help. And we're here to say that there's a better answer. There is an answer to because ultimately what it boils down to is if we've got a line of code down here, we'll just make it green. If we've got a line of code down here, okay, and we have access, and we can get access to source code. So let's assume we got a line of code down here, and we can actually drill into the source code.
Sorry, that green line is the error code?
The error in the code.
Okay.
And let's say that we can drill into the source code and find that error and rewrite it.
Well,
so in the source code, we now go
just
2 plus 2 equals 4.
right. Just so we, maybe rewrite is not the best way to say. Is it? Well, I mean, you are here in a computer.
We're using a computer language. So let's
Yeah.
say, but as an individual, we could find that place, that bad code, that bad program, and it's all programmed.
Right.
Right? We're running a program. We're running a program is a conclusion that was reached. And it has computers only mimic the human mind. They're not a thing in themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So if we can magically drill into there and rewrite it, it would no longer exist. So every time we run 2 plus 2 equals 4 and it ran properly, well, guess what? We can eliminate that one, right?
And probably a whole bunch that are connected to it in one way or
Well,
another.
yeah, any of the ones that were on top of the 4 plus 3,
Right,
and
yeah,
multiply
yeah.
4 times 4, and then all the other ones. But let's assume for the moment that we can drill into here and find every one of those sources of code there are. And we did this. We would just have no reason whatsoever, absolutely no reason whatsoever, for any of the patches.
That would be ideal.
We wouldn't need the anger management. We wouldn't need the affirmations, because then we could operate on intention, which is simply a decision.
We wouldn't get that counter intention?
That needs no confirmation.
Oh, that sounds like a whole other thing. Did we talk about no confirmation yet?
No.
Okay.
But literally, if you operate with intention, which is a decision that needs no confirmation, what would you like to be?
Well, before I answer that,
Yeah.
that's a big chunk that I don't think, you're hitting everybody cold. So
Okay, good.
before I answer that, what would my life be like? I don't know yet. We have to discuss this.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, so
We'll
let
do
me
that.
just stop that.